Hi all. In this session we are going to discuss about currency devaluation, currency depreciation, currency appreciation and currency revaluation. So in the earlier class we were discussing about factors influencing exchange rate. So while discussing factors we also discussed about floating exchange rate and fixed exchange rate. So floating exchange rate, the exchange rate between two currencies always fluctuate on the basis of demand and supply factor. One currency fluctuates against another currency. So this fluctuation, this appreciation and ups and down in between two different currencies are classified as currency revaluation, devaluation, depreciation and appreciation. So in today's session we are going to discuss about currency devaluation or devaluation of a currency for 2 marks. It is very important 2 marks question and definition of devaluation. When the value of domestic currency falls in terms of foreign currency due to government intervention, it is known as devaluation of a currency. See, fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate. Fixed exchange rate, it is the government intervention is more because the exchange rate is determined by the government. Likewise, devaluation and depreciation, these two are different terminologies. Devaluation and depreciation, depreciation is related to floating exchange rate. Floating exchange rate means fluctuating currencies on the basis of demand and supply of certain currency. It is called as depreciation and it comes under floating exchange rate regime. So in the devaluation of currency it happens, see, devaluation, depreciation are similar terms but the definition is different. Devaluation happens with the government intervention and depreciation happens on the basis of demand and supply factor. So please do remember, devaluation when the value of domestic currency falls in terms of foreign currency due to government intervention, not demand and supply factor. It is known as devaluation of a currency. For example, exchange rate between United States dollar, American dollar and Indian rupee. Earlier it is 1 US dollar is equals to, focus, this is the dollar's symbol, $1 is equals to 65 rupees earlier, to $1 is equals to rupees 70. If you look at it, the rupee value has become from 65 to rupees 70. Say for example, in the last month $1 was worth 65. Now after 1 month it is $1 is worth 70 rupees. In simple terms, the rupee has increased from 65 to rupees 70. There is a 5 rupees difference. But even though rupee got increased from 65 to 70, we call it as devaluation or depreciation. Why we call it as devaluation of a currency? See, in our example, in this illustration, $1 was worth 65 rupees 1 month ago. After 1 month, the same dollar is worth 70 rupees. That means in last month, 30 days earlier, you would have paid 65 rupees to buy 1 unit of US dollar. Now, to buy same 1 unit of US dollar, you have to pay 5 rupees more. That is, you have to pay 70 rupees to buy the same 1 unit of dollar. That means you are paying 5 rupees more to buy the same one single unit of US dollar. The buying power of rupee got decreased because to buy 1 unit of US dollar earlier you would have paid 65 rupees. Now you have to pay 75 rupees more. That means the purchasing power, buying power of rupee got reduced, decreased. That is why we call it as devaluation or depreciation of a currency. See, very important 2 marks definition is when the value of domestic currency, that is our domestic currency is Indian rupee, falls in terms of foreign currency. Falls means from 65 to 70 rupees. That means you have to pay 5 rupees extra to buy the same single unit of US dollar. Due to government intervention, this is the, you have to underline this this sentence, this line, government intervention, we call it as devaluation. When the value of domestic currency falls in terms of foreign currency due to government intervention is called as devaluation. And when the value of domestic currency falls in terms of foreign currency due to demand and supply factor, we call it as depreciation. The slight difference between devaluation and depreciation. Devaluation, purposefully government devalue its own currency. Depreciation on the basis of because of demand and supply factor and other factors what we have discussed in earlier class, that is called as depreciation of a currency. Now further elaborating this devaluation of currency occurs when in the country the monetary policy authority or government intentionally reduces the value of its currency by lowering the exchange rate as compared to another country's exchange rate. See, same example, government purposefully decreases $1 from 65 rupees per dollar to 70 rupees per dollar. So that means devaluation, purposefully supreme authority or government or central bank does it. And the authority devalues the currency by lowering the fixed exchange rate in the international market. It is changed by only the country's authority by comparing the worth of goods and services in international market. That means somehow government determines the exchange rate between two different currencies on the basis of its exports, its imports, its balance of payment, its relationship with other countries. Government determines the exchange rate and government purposefully devalues its own domestic currency. So devaluation of a currency helps the economy in short period because government devalues or fixes the exchange rate between two different currencies for specific time period. That is, say for example for 6 months, for 1 year, and the purpose is to boost the country's economy for short period. There is no fixed time for it to devalue the currency, but when the need occurs or authority think there is a need to devalue the currency, it happens. That means in simple words, government purposefully devalues its own domestic currency. And what happens? What happens to the countries, or what happens to the exporters or importers? In this example, if you take the example of this, $1 is worth 65 1 month ago, now it is 70 rupees per dollar. What happens to the exporter? For example, if I export $1 worth chalk piece to United States, before 1 month, see, I am selling one piece of chalk piece at $1 in United States of America, and my home country is India. I am Indian citizen, and I am having my manufacturing facility, chalk piece factory in India. So after manufacturing chalk piece in India, I am exporting the same thing to United States of America, and I am selling the chalk piece. Since there is a tender currency is $1 in United States, so I charge $1 per chalk piece, for example. And since I am an Indian citizen and I have my manufacturing base in our country, I bring the dollar to India and convert it into Indian rupee because I am an Indian citizen and I need Indian rupee. I cannot spend dollar here. I cannot pay my expenditures in dollar in India. Fine. So if I sell one chalk piece worth $1 in US, I bring back the dollar to India and convert it. And last 30 days earlier, I used to get 65 per dollar. After 1 month, the exchange rate has become $1 worth 70 rupees. 70 rupees per dollar. Now, after 1 month, if I sell the one piece of chalk piece in United States, I bring back that dollar and I convert it into Indian rupee, I receive 70 rupees. Which one is better? Earlier, I used to get only 65 rupees. Now, after sending one chalk piece, since the exchange rate between dollar to rupee is 70 rupees per dollar, now I am getting 70 rupees for by selling one piece of chalk piece in United States of America. So what happens, since I am an exporter, I am getting more rupee now. For same dollar, for same single unit of dollar, I am getting more units of Indian rupee, that is my home currency. So if the devaluation happens, exporter gains. Vice versa, importers will lose, because say for example, if I am importing notebook from United States, or pen, I am importing pen from United States, I have to pay in US dollar. So to buy 1 unit of pen, earlier I I had to pay $1, right? So if I had to pay $1, I have to buy the dollar. I am an Indian citizen. I am importing pen from United States of America, and I have to pay in dollar. And to pay in dollar, I have to buy the dollar. Earlier, 30 days ago, I used to buy $1 at rupees 65. Now the dollar cost 70 rupees. For each dollar, to buy single unit of dollar, I have to pay 70 rupees. Earlier it was 65. Now I'm an importer. Now I have to pay more. I have to pay 5 more rupees to buy 1 unit of US dollar. So when devaluation or depreciation of a currency happens, exporter gains and importers loss. So that's what the effects. It is favorable to exports. Imports become more expensive. Increased aggregate demand. Why the demand increases? Since exporters gains, after if the devaluation happens, exporter gains, then he starts manufacturing more and more goods. Then he sells as much as it is possible, as much as he can. That is how the demand will increase. Then improvement in the current account. Why there is an improvement in current account? Because if the exporters are gaining, the number of exporters will be more. And if the number of exporters will be more, the volume of total export will be more. So when export is more than import, then that is called current account surplus. And when the exporter gains more and more, they spend more and more. When they are spending more and more, ultimately it results in higher rate of inflation. Thank you.